This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena. Rolle. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is now transporting all of its passengers from the grandeur of the seas to Baltimore, Maryland. The vessel is docked at the Freeport Harbor after experiencing a fire on board. As Joan Davis Rolle reports, the GB airport was a fury of activity today as the passengers made their way home.
We thought we were going to die.
The grandeur of the sea capturing international headlines and throwing Grand Bahama into the spotlight as they brought some 2,000 passengers and crew members here following a fire on board the mega cruise line. It was at the break of dawn Tuesday that the saga continued, a saga which began on the high seas on Monday when a fire abruptly brought to a halt what was expected to be a dream vacation for many. It was all hands on deck at the Freeport International Airport as officials began to assist thousands of cruise passengers who unexpectedly became airline passengers overnight. Busloads of passengers were transported to the airport after the cruise vacation was cut short, and now days ahead of schedule, they were thankful to be alive and headed back home. Etched on their minds was the horrifying details of the near tragedy at sea.
It was scary. The damage to the ship was pretty significant, but we were shuffled in and out, and
Any tense moments you thought that, hey,
Yeah, when they put the boats down, that was pretty scary. Children in front. Yeah, it was scary.
The alarm went off. It was smoky. We were in the back of the ship right above where the fire was. We heard a loud explosion, and we went to the muster stations. I got nervous when we saw the lifeboats going, getting ready, and they were bringing water onto the lifeboats. At that point, it was like, you know what, this is really serious.
I thought this is really a tragedy. It's a potential tragedy. And what might this lead to? What does this mean for my family and I and everybody else? My son grabbed the life vests for us, and my husband and son helped me put it on. And
do you think you want to die?
Did I think about that? I thought about that possibility. Yes, I did. Either fire or drowning.
We were all crying, but then this really nice man calmed us down.
I wasn't crying.
He wasn't crying.
I had to stay strong for everybody else.
We had a few people that were fainting, nauseous, and things like that.
What really got your heart racing when this whole thing unfolded?
The only thing was when they lowered the lifeboats. You know what I mean? Because then you start thinking, whoops. And they said it was a little fire at the back between the third and fourth floor. We took pictures. It was more than a little fire.
I hear a guy, he was yelling and screaming and lying to get everybody out of the cabin. So when I get out of the cabin, as soon as I open the door, all the smoke coming right in my face, and I breathe. It was the fire, he was like next door to me.
Passengers say still lingering are their cries for help. And although the entire ordeal was frightening, they had high praises for cruise officials.
There was a gentleman there from the crew. His name was Adam. The crew was phenomenal. They really kept everybody informed. And, hey, here we are. Royal Caribbean.
Giving us a free cruise. And now they're helping us get back to Baltimore.
The staff was wonderful, and I'm glad to be going home. But we will take another cruise very soon.
Joan Davis Rolle, ZNS Network News.
Well, thank you, Joan. Now, H. Forbes Charter was contracted to transport the passengers to the Grand Bahama International Airport. This arrangement offended members of the Grand Bahama Taxi Union who say they should have gotten their fair share of the business. Megan Shepard has that aspect of the story.
We have 600 cab drivers, other tow operators, and road traffic decides to give H. Forbes Charter 2,000 people in this kind of time.
President of the Grand Bahama Taxi Union, David Jones, says the union received communications from the Road Traffic Department on Monday evening, informing them that H. Forbes Charter will be responsible for transporting some 2,000 plus passengers of the grandeur of the seas to the airport.
We, the taxi union, we have serious difficulties with this. First of all, it's not in confinement of the law. We ask road traffic to bring us proof that these persons were contacted and processed by H4 charter, that never happened. We, the union, we are tired of this. And we are telling all the powers that be, if something is not done, we will. This afternoon, me and the executives, we had a meeting this afternoon to decide the way forward, what we intend to do. And we will bring this to all authorities to let them know that it is not right.
Now, Vice President Howard Curry says union members feel that they are often treated unfairly and they are preparing to take a stand. He claims that this decision to transport passengers via H4's charter is illegal.
The law stated that pre-arranged passengers must be booked 1 day before the journey occur. But it seems to us like Mr. Forbes have the privilege to move these 2,000 passengers, which is against the law. We have an approval slip in front of us from Mr. Ramings stating that he given permission to move these passengers. We know it's wrong. He knows it's wrong, so he shouldn't even approve it.
President Jones says they've tried several times to contact government officials on this matter and have not received a response.
We have asked all authorities to come and sit with us and to no avail. But we assure you, the taxi drivers, we are not going to sit back any longer. We come and taking the fight to yours. We are tired of it. We are simply just tired of it. It's against the law, and we will not stand by and let it happen another day.
Some of the passengers were transported to the Grand Bahama International Airport to be flown back to Baltimore, Maryland, where the cruise originated. The remaining cruise passengers will leave tomorrow. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Well, we spoke with an official at the Road Traffic Department who said there is nothing illegal about the arrangement. They say H4's charter was hired by Royal Caribbean Cruise Line to move the passengers, and the department simply gave them the authorization. It is also understood that some cab drivers were able to move some of the passengers today, but taxi union officials say it was a small number of passengers. In other news, the nation's leader addressing current and former parliamentarians on the issue of national development. His comments were made during a special luncheon at the Grand Lucano Resort. Here again is Megan Shepard.
Over the past 40 years, hundreds of men and women have worked to develop the country into the nation that it is today. On Saturday, a luncheon was held to honor parliamentarians of the past and present who have made an invaluable contribution to nation building. The nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, says, "We are a unique country with unique challenges when it comes to development, and growth comes with a great deal of expenses."
We are looking at Grand Bahama, and we know that we have to modernize and give people in the East and West the kind of opportunities that people of Freeport have. And so we then look at what the government must do at a time when we are beginning to assume responsibility for the airport here in Freeport as of July of this year. Budgetary requirements.
The Prime Minister says there are several other islands that are currently undergoing or preparing to undergo major developments. He says there are hundreds of millions of dollars that come along with developing an archipelagic nation.
An island nation, duplication, and the question for governments and opposition is that you know logically you cannot do all of these things in the normal way of financing a country. So how do you do it? How do we innovate? How do we not make the mistake of recognizing that people and their expectations have been so sharpened that governments are tempted to do things that become hostile to best practices?
The Prime Minister then explains how the country can make developments more feasible through public-private partnerships, saying that this is the way of the future.
Governments have found a way to say to developers, if you want this, you put up the money and I will pay you back. For example, developers are nearly complete with the planning for the development that has been with the F&M, that's been with the PLP, that is now, that would go into Cat Island. But I can't build an airport that they need. So I said, listen, I'm not prepared to spend more than $10 million on the airport. You build it, and I'll pay you back. It's a policy that is evolving in the country of convergence. When private and public sector interest converges, do you stop development, or do you find a way to get those who wish to develop to pay for it?
Prime Minister Christie says that we live in a dynamic world where changes are constantly taking place, and the Bahamas must work to keep up. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
This weather warning now from the Bahamas Department of Meteorology. Residents throughout the country should brace themselves for excessively prolonged rainfall today through Friday night. A broad area of moist, unstable air extending northwest from the Caribbean Sea will generate heavy rainfall and thunderstorms across the country. Conditions will be favorable for flash flood warnings in low-lying areas. Winds are expected to reach 30 miles per hour or more in embedded thunderstorms. Tornadoes are likely to be spawned from the thunderstorms. A severe thunderstorm warning will be issued when necessary. Now, the Department of Meteorology is appealing to residents in flood-prone areas to be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice. Residents are advised not to drive, walk, or play in floodwaters as the depth can be easily misjudged. All efforts should be made to protect lives and property. Stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break.